Alrighty, folks, so I've been made aware of a trend called the tradwife social media trend. We're going to talk about it. So what exactly is a tradwife, you might ask?
A hero. Not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed. Nothing less than a knight. Shining.
How to become a traditional wife. Number 1, embracing ultra-traditional gender roles into your marriage. The man, he is the provider, the main breadwinner. He goes out of the house and works. The woman, the wife, she is the homemaker. She takes care of the home. She takes care of herself, and she does the cooking and the cleaning. If you marry a guy who in your dating life, he showed abusive and control tendencies, this is a disaster waiting to happen, because when you become financially dependent on this man, he will abuse all of that. So make sure that you take your dating life very seriously. If you are not dating to eventually marry that person, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so, most of that seems pretty reasonable.
Actually.
So this has driven people absolutely mad, apparently. Well, I want to look at some of the reactions so we can see why it's driving people quite so insane.
We have lots of primary sources about what life was like for women in the 1950s. I don't think it's possible for women who grew up in the 21st century to really understand what it's like to be trapped inside the home. Women developed things like housewife psychosis, where they were so isolated in the home they started hallucinating and hearing voices. Women were on staggering amounts of psychotropic drugs. It wasn't uncommon for women to be locked up in psychiatric institutions for becoming psychotic like this. Many were lobotomized. Domestic violence was very normal. It was the number one reason women attended emergency rooms. And where are these men who are interested in traditionalism? Men today seem interested in hookup culture and pornography. I don't see any men lining up to pay for your whole existence.
Maybe that last part of it is the issue, right? Maybe the reason that men are not willing to line up to quote unquote pay for their whole existence and, go out and provide for their family and their children is because we've completely switched the incentives. I'm amazed at this lady who looks particularly unhappy, by the way. This is the example of modern feminism. The broad smile on the face was the dead giveaway in that particular video. When you watch people who look outwardly miserable, talking about how miserable women were in the 1950s and then suggesting that women were on staggering amounts of psychotropic drugs in the 1950s, as opposed to now, all you have to do is look at the trends in the use of mentally altering drugs in America, and you realize how stupid that notion is. The idea that women were hallucinating, that they were delusional.
Mom? I don't like this. Mom! Please, you really freak me out. Please stop.
Back then, or that they were so much more unhappy. Okay, first of all, every single piece of social science data shows that since the 1970s, women's happiness in the United States has been markedly declining.
The idolization of the 1950s housewife really feels like the domestic equivalent to Make America Great Again, which is why it has such white supremacist undertones.
Oh my God, I don't care!
These women are saying a woman's place, not her choice, her place is subservient to her husband and in the home. Now, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm a homemaker, I'm a housewife, and I love that position. I love my life. I love the way that our dynamic works because I'm in charge of the domestic labor when I'm home. I'm in charge of the child raising, and he helps me when he's home from work, and we have a very collaborative dynamic. However, that works for me, number one, because I have a respectful, emotionally intelligent, and reciprocal partner, and number two, because I chose it. And the tradwife movement is hearkening back to a time when women were supposed to be subservient. Nah.
I'm not going to raise my voice.
Okay, so you literally embrace every single thing that tradwifery is about. And somehow you're saying that you are different because tradwives are saying that women, this is their place, but it is your place. It is the place that you chose. So we live in a free country. You don't have to choose that. But the idea that there is no naturally better choice for men or for women is, of course, incredibly silly. That doesn't mean that a woman's best choice in all circumstances is to be in the home without a job. It does mean that for a lot of women, that is a better choice than being a single wine mom at the age of 40.
Maybe I haven't found love, but I found cake.
Again, life is all about these choices. And pretending that there is no sort of moral hierarchy in terms of the choices that you make, that all choices are a matter of apathy is very, very silly.
Hetero women will be fully free of the patriarchy when they stop valuing marriage and traditionalism as a way to save them from the isolating, crippling loneliness that is capitalism, the emptiness that they experience from jobs that they don't find fulfilling, from the lack of hobbies, from years of having movies and TV. Tell them that centering their life around a man and having him save you from the horrors of patriarchy, man in your house to quote unquote protect you from who, you guessed it, other men, will somehow give her some power in society, but really it's all conditional. Instead of her being taught to empower herself, and, you can still have those things. No one's telling you not to be a trad wife, but you can't make being a wife and a mother the center of your entire being. There's more to life than that. You can have hobbies and things that fill you up and give you joy, because a child can be taken away, a marriage can end quickly, and homes and lives can be destroyed.
Nice.
Like that. So stop talking about men. Stop talking about dating. Stop even talking about children in the nuclear family. Find purpose in community instead.
Wow. Find purpose in the commune in which you live. That's gone amazing throughout history. Don't find meaning in your children, which is what most women actually find meaning in, or your marriage, which is what most women find meaning in. Instead, find meaning in gazing emotionlessly into camera and talking about communism. And develop hobbies.
Like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
That seems wildly terrible. I'm noticing a thread here, which is a lot of unhappiness in these particular videos.
Douchebag news. The CEO of Porsche is divorcing his wife.
Go watch that video. That creator is talking about how the CEO of Porsche is divorcing his wife at age 72. She's 72, he's 79, because she got dementia. And despite having a whole host of people taking care of her, he just doesn't want to be in her presence as she suffers from dementia. There are statistics about this, like the number of men that leave their wives when they get terminal illness and or something like dementia. It's astoundingly high. It's so high that every time I see one of these trad wives on here, the first thing I think of is, that's your future. The men who see you as a means to an end, as an object to enjoy, which is what a trad wife is presenting herself as, they will discard you when you cease being those things for them. If you reduce yourself to an object of service, you will be discarded the moment you can no longer be of service.
Oh my God, being lectured about the heights of divorce by people who entirely discount the institution of marriage is absolutely galling. You are both supposed to be objects of service to each other. Okay, that is the purpose of a marriage. That is the whole thing. If the notion is that divorce is too high because women are presenting themselves as women who do acts of service for their husbands, that this is why your husband is going to discard you, I'm sorry, I'm gonna need some statistical proof to back this one up. I really am gonna need some statistical proof on that one.
If you're gonna praise the Proverbs 31 woman as a pinnacle of womanhood, remember that she is described as being strong, a businesswoman, and provides for her family.
I mean, and? Like, so? What? And? I don't even understand why that's a problem. We literally sing a song every Friday night in the Jewish community. It's called Eshet Chayil, okay, and it's rooted in Proverbs. And it talks about all the wonderful things about this woman. And one of the things about this woman is that she is filling all of these roles for herself and her family and society at large. And yet these are all the things that we wish to throw off, we wish to get rid of. The core of a woman's value is, as always, rooted in biological reality, just as the core of a man's value is rooted in biological reality, because we all exist in these biological realities. Ignoring those things does not make people happier, it makes them significantly more miserable.
No, that's called empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Submission is the action or fact of accepting or yielding to a superior force, to the will or authority of another. Submission is not the word that you think it is. What you're looking for is having empathy. If somebody is forcing their desires on you and you bend to that, despite how you may feel about it, that is called slavery.
Apparently it's slavery every time you do something you don't want in life, which means that we are all slaves nearly all of the time. This is one of the dumbest ideas that has now come percolating up through the sort of marital definition, is the idea you never do anything you don't want to do. That's such a lie. Marriage is about doing things you don't want to do at least 86.2% of the time. And if you spend all day being like, you know what, I don't want to do that, so I'm just not doing that, your marriage is not going to last very long. because it does require you to dedicate yourself to the will of your spouse. It does require this of you. And then you build something together. This is why when people get married in the Jewish community, the blessing that we give them is that they should build a Bayis Ne'eman b'Yisrael. They should build a faithful house in Israel. Why? Because that's what marriage is about. Marriage is not about your personal sense of self-satisfaction. Marriage is supposed to be about building something together, a household. And that means that all of your concerns are for the household. When a man goes out and earns, he's not going out and earning because he just feels like, you know what, I feel like going to work today. I feel like earning. The reality is that since time immemorial, man's natural drive is to be peripatetic, to engage in short-term relations with women, to abandon those women, and then go and hunt and gather. But men subject themselves to the rhythms of women. Women have long-term rhythms, meaning they're the ones who have to carry and bear children and then care for those children. And so men trade away that quote-unquote freedom and independence for something higher, namely the ability to build a household with a woman. That is what they are doing. And that is a wonderful good. But again, all of this is too subtle and too complex for the internet. So instead what you get is people online looking miserable and mewling about how marriage is really about self-satisfaction or is a completely dispensable object. And then, well, and probably you'll get divorced anyway. No, you know what? Guess what? 15 years and going strong here. How's your life going? 4 kids, by the way.
My girl.